Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the weekly Mayors and Supervisors update. I'm Chris Carosa, publisher of the HFL Sentinel, and we'll get right into the discussion of what's going on locally, starting with Mike Falk, the supervisor of the town of Lima. Mike, what's happening in Lima?
Well, we're very excited about Phase 4 possibly commencing the 26th. Still not sure all that means, but it does look good that we will be able to move forward. The election site in Lima for Tuesday's election has been moved. It is now at the Lima Town Hall. It's no longer at the GCC campus. Some about the sales tax. Right now, the last draw for the town of Lima was off a scotch, but it's because it's a quarterly draw. We were still getting some decent returns from the beginning of the year. Livingston County as a whole, though, is down 30%, which is compared to the last draw from the last time last year, it's about $2 million. At a throw that we're not seeing. One researcher indicated that folks in higher tax brackets severely reduced their spending during the COVID lockdown, and that is accounting for a big chunk of the missing sales tax. The DMV in Geneseo is open, limited transactions. It's a call ahead kind of thing, but everyone who has gone in has said that it has been exceedingly quick. No lines, anything. You go right in for your appointment, you're right out. We're going to be having a public hearing on water rates for all 4 Town of Lima water districts. This is not the Village of Lima water district. It is the 4 water districts that the town operates outside of the village. We're going to be discussing rate increases based on the increases given us to by our water suppliers. And that will be in conjunction with the town board meeting, which is July 7th at 6 p.m. This is an in-person meeting here at the town hall with all applicable distancing and masking and whatnot. That's what I've done.
Okay, thanks, Mike. I did have a follow-up question on the sales tax issue. So your current draw, the current draw that you're referencing, was that first quarter draw or was that later than first quarter?
It's off a little bit. So that would have been a little payment to the town of Lima that was off a little. The Livingston County the county draw is a lot more frequent. So that would be the monthly number.
Okay, so I didn't hear you. Did you say Lima was quarterly or not?
Lima is quarterly.
Yeah. Okay.
Quarterly, so, and is sort of a little behind. So
right.
We see a check in April, and we see one at the end of January.
Okay. So, all right. So we'll continue to monitor your specific sales tax issue as the numbers come in. But right now, it looks like in general, Livingston County is lagging about 30% year over year.
Right.
Okay, great. Let's move next to Eileen Hansen, Village of Scottsville Mayor. Eileen, how's everything going there?
Things are going well. It's pretty quiet. We're still doing the Village Hall by appointment only. 1 entrance, 1 exit. Get your appointment. We'll meet you at the door and let you in. With taxes, you can mail them in or make an appointment at this time. Our next board meeting is July 14th. The last one we did remotely, and we're still discussing how we're going to do the July meeting and see if we can open it up. In terms of sales tax, we got our first quarter, and that was pretty much on par with what we have received before. But the information that we've gotten is that in April, the sales tax was down 24 to 25%. And in May, it looked like it was down about 35%. So we don't know what that's going to look like. In our budget this year, for the past couple of years, we have under budgeted the sales tax. So we've gotten more than we had planned on. So when we did the budget for this year, we gave ourselves a small increase in what we were getting. So we're hoping we were being frugal and that we may be able to absorb some of it. And we also have, because of certain circumstances this past year, we had 2 people retire, have a bit of a surplus, and we hope that that will be able to cushion us with the decrease in sales tax. The other thing is, in terms of openings in the village, we have 1 restaurant that has opened in phase 3 with 50% seating inside and then some outdoor seating, which we extended their license to give them a little more space out there. The other eating establishments, 1 is still doing it by takeout only, and 1 is waiting until phase 4 until they reopen. And other than that, things are pretty quiet in Scottsville.
Okay, great.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, go ahead.
In terms of anything going on this summer, there's not a lot. I know the town is still working on a day camp. We always have had a summer recreation program down at Johnson Park. And I know that the recreation program is run by the town and they are working on that. I haven't gotten any final details from them yet. And in terms of the only thing that we usually have going on in the summer is the chamber does a float for Santa, which raises money for our parade of lights. And we're still waiting on that. That would probably be in August, but we're waiting on some more information on what we can and cannot do with that. It's floating down the Owaka Creek, and then there's a tent at Kannawagas Park, but probably that's the main concern, is any large group of people at the park. So we're waiting on some more information on that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So let's go to Rick Milne, and Mayor of Honeoye Falls. And Rick, maybe talk a little bit more on the tax information, because I know you gave me some information last week that coincides with what Eileen said. And do you have anything more on that you could add?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think thanks, Chris, and nice to see everybody again. I think our numbers are, very similar, and I think we're really not all that far off from Livingston County as well. They start talking about sales tax revenue, April being down 24.3%. and May being down 32.3% overall statewide. So it's gonna balance out. We know we're gonna be behind. Our first quarter receipt was slightly higher this year than it was last year. I mean, within a couple $1,000s, so virtually the same as Eileen had mentioned. We're be finishing up the second quarter, and then probably in August or whatever, we'll see what our real numbers are. But we're anticipating them being down significantly. And like Scottsville, I would think most of us probably budget sales tax revenue on the light side, trying to be cautious and cautiously optimistic, if you will. So we know we're going to take a hit. We're just trying to look at every penny and, what we've already committed to. That's one of the things we struggle with as well. Before this all hit, we had already planned on and ordered 2 new dump trucks, for our DPW department. Not only, were we already committed to that, but they've come in like 2 months early. So, we're trying to figure all that out. We've got to sell our other 2 older trucks and see what we get for that. But, it's a struggle. It's just like everyone's home budget. We had a pretty good plan in place, and, certainly we're not expecting what we've fallen into. So right now, we'll have to wait and see what that first or second quarter, if you will, check is, where we're at. And then we're certainly going to jump into our budget discussions, you know, in the village because of our fiscal year. We usually don't really start that discussion much before December, January, and really get into it January, February. You know, we're going to obviously be looking at that in September and seeing what kind of cuts we have to make. You know, are there any programs that we're involved in that we have to, you know, terminate for a period of time? Are there any projects that we wanted to do that we have to postpone? You know, we'll do what we have to do, but at the same time, we have to keep business running. And we do have a major project, a major storm sewer project that we've got to move forward on. We've made a commitment and we have to make it happen somehow. So we're hoping we don't have to, you know, bond it and do a long-term finance proposition on this, but we're going to do what we have to do because it's got to get done. Businesses are, you know, again, like everybody else, you know, some of the businesses are opening. You know, it's nice to see Flaherty's opening, and then at the same time, we have the brewery close permanently. And, you know, we wish them the very best. They certainly are due their retirement. It would have been nice to have somebody else just moving right in. So, you know, we're going to struggle here and there. But that's business, and that would have happened COVID or not, I think. You know, our residents and our business owners are all working hard to try to move things forward. Supervisor Moffitt and I talk very, very frequently, you know, just about various different things. And, you know, we continue to have great relationships with our other surrounding municipalities, and we appreciate everything they do. You know, we're all in this together, and we're just going to keep plugging along and doing the best we can.
All right, thanks, Rick. If I could follow up on the sales tax side of things, you mentioned that New York State, as a state, dropped down 34%, I think you said, for the month.
30, I think 32.3 or whatever.
Yeah, but we don't know if that hits the county the same way. I mean, it doesn't.
No, you know, that's just the projections. You know, we got an email from NICOM, New York State Conference of Mayors, as well as the AG's office and or the comptroller's office rather, and it just, you know, he just posted the numbers. So how that affects, you know, how that affects the counties overall is going to be interesting. I mean, it might be more than that, right? It could be less. It'll depend on what the state has to keep and what they're going to pass along, and will there be anything, you know, withheld from the county level? You know, we don't think so, but you know, we just don't know, Chris. It's just it's unfortunate. Unfortunately, the numbers just aren't given to us that this is what you're going to get, you know, ahead of time. I think you're off, Chris.
Okay. Did they offer any explanation in terms of the April versus May numbers? Because we know that the retail sales numbers nationally were much better in May than it appears from the sales tax figures we're seeing in New York.
Yeah, my guess is somewhat similar to what Supervisor Falk was talking about. Is, you know, maybe different tax bracket individuals are spending less, but I think from the sales tax we see, I think everything is also just pushed back a little bit. They see their numbers. You know, that spike that we're hearing about in May, they might actually see that in the June numbers. You know, we might see those June go, but I think it's just all delayed a little bit.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Rick.
Yep.
Jerry, you're up. Let's unmute you there and tell us what's going on in the wonderful town of Rush.
The best kept secret in Western New York. I think that the two supervisors who have spoken already were reading from my cheat sheet, because I have the very, very same reaction. The only thing I could say is I know that we have conservatively budgeted for the year, and it would take one large swing of revenue to bring us a lot of pain. I think we're going to see a little pain, but not a lot of pain. And I'm thankful for that. Even considering that we've already purchased a new $240,000 excavator, you know, I think about that and I say, oh my gosh, I wish I'd known that earlier, but I didn't. So we're in a wait and see hold right now to see what the impact of all the sales tax and mortgage tax and all that stuff is going to be on us. I remain hopeful. Our 3 restaurants in town are open with outside seating. I think they're going to be opening very soon with inside seating. At least I hope they will. And someone told me this morning that people are in a different mood than they have been historically. And I wonder if anybody else has experienced that. And I'm not talking about positive moods, I'm talking about feisty moods because of maybe being holed up for so long.
Well,
Any thoughts?
anybody else see that in where you're at? Maybe, maybe not. Anything else from Rush to report there, Jerry?
No, that's it. But I hope by next week at this time we can say some hallelujahs and say, this is what we know now.
Yep, I hope so too. All right, so let's move over to John Moffett, Supervisor of the Town of Mendon.
We're looking at opening up Town Hall, as far as unlocking the doors and not having to schedule an appointment after 4th of July weekend. Highway Department has been out doing a lot of road work within the town of Mendon, mostly stone and oil, which usually doesn't make a whole lot of people happy, but most of those roads are county roads. So the county is the ones who decide the treatment that's going to be done to those roads. So, and it's stone and oil is much more cost efficient than resurfacing. So I know a lot of people are concerned about stone and oil. And I'm pulling up right next to a tower, so I'm going to pull over. So you get, because where I am, I'm probably going to lose you again.
Okay.
So, the other thing that we've been working on, like everyone else has mentioned, is equipment purchases. Our equipment purchases were, everything we've ordered, we're going to receive, but yet there's a couple other things that we have in the hopper that we're not really going to follow through with. Once the month of June is closed for us from a financial standpoint, we'll have a better look because we're on the calendar year as far as fiscal matters goes. So we'll have a better opportunity to take a look at the first 6 months. As some of the other mayors and supervisors have mentioned, it's probably going to be August before we have a real good idea on sales tax, where that's going to lead. But as I have mentioned in some of these sessions previously, we had earmarked some funding to go into reserves. And if we have shortfalls in revenue, then we won't put any money into reserves. So I'm not really anticipating anything too major at this point as far as financial hardship. But I also have heard some of the numbers that some of the other mayors and supervisors have mentioned, and they're pretty drastic numbers in sales tax. We just received our mortgage tax from the county, and that was up a little bit, which is always a good news compared to last year. Mm-hmm. And so hopefully we're going to weather the storm here. And it's nice to see, some businesses reopening, expanding hours, those types of things. I think it means a lot to the people in the community that our businesses are open and that they can reopen. And it means a lot to the business owners that the community members are supporting them.
Right. Okay. Anything else, John, or is that it?
That's pretty much it.
Okay, great. Does anybody else have anything to add that they may have just remembered, or seeing none?
Chris,
go ahead. Is that Rick? Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
I'm sorry. Just to follow up on John's comment too about the office, I forgot to mention, we are indeed back open full-time hours. with a half staff, but we're expecting that after next week, really the beginning of July or just before, we'll be back with full staff as well. But we are fully open by appointment only. If you come to the door or call ahead, we'll let you in. You have to wear a mask into the office, but we are all back open full-time hours.
All right. Thanks again, everybody, for watching the Mayors and Supervisors update. This is a reminder that it airs every Sunday at 1 o'clock on the Sentinel YouTube and Facebook channels. See you all again next time.